Well, good evening again, and welcome to TNR Tuesday night's RRC coverage, coming to you live from YouTube. I'm Scrappy Do, and on a Tuesday night, what else have I got better to do to come and talk to everyone and bring you all? The RRC racing community is proud to present Tuesday night's Chinese Grand Prix. What's special about this event, for anyone who's not seen this before, there's no qualifying session here. It is purely straight in from back championship position. We're going to normally go through the drivers and the teams in order, but start from the back. So these guys will be on the front row of the grid as lowest championship position currently. So let's go through the championship positions, and also I'll go through the drivers who have confirmed that they will be available tonight to race. Apologies again if I can find it really quickly. It's always good being prepared, isn't it, guys? Right, so let's go through championship position first things first. So we're looking at the Mercedes team of Gild and Walker. So unfortunately, very little points between these two today. We're looking at Gild needs to pick up the performance, really. He's not been around for too many races. Don't even believe he's still in this league. Well, hopefully we're going to see him very soon in an RRC racing league very soon. Walker exactly the same way. Moving on to the Williams team at the other end. We've got the pairing of Toon and Maverick. Unfortunately, Toon, his misfortunes continued into what an amazing race it was yesterday on Monday night racing. I'm sure today's race is going to be as fantastic as it was. Unfortunately, Toon out on lap 1, racing for the Scuderia, with the Maverick capable of so much, and very strange to see him so far down in the actual league here. Alpha Tauri, let's move on to them. We've got the pairing of VSL Optics and Dewey 669. Dewey very impressed me, as has Optics in the last couple of races, picking up very big points over the RRC community. We're moments away from finding out if China is going to be on the list for these two drivers tonight. Going on to the Scuderia, we've got Bagos and the Extremist. The Extremist, again, pretty good performances. He's missing out on a podium, I believe, last week. The Extremist. There's some very good things to say about me in the group chat as well, so thank you very much for that to the Extremist. Big shout out there, and hopefully to see him get some points today. Bagos, again, capable of much more. Very distressing to see the Scuderia so far down in the Constructors' title. On to the Pink Mercedes, the Racing Points, the Pink Panthers. The pairing of TH91 and Old Boy. Now, Old Boy again has been getting points. Mr. Reliable. It's a shame the Old Boy just hasn't been able to finish the last few races. Maybe that's what needs to improve on going forward. On to the Haas team, which I was referring to as Texas Toast and every other American enthusiasm last night. So I was quite enjoying myself on the stream. Jared, capable of so much. He's definitely racing tonight. I've seen it on there. AFC Lewis, 82. Again, we're going to look to see what this young gun can produce from his car. On to the McLaren team. We've got the pairings of VRM has Matty Smith. Matty Smith, again, was actually looking on the outskirts of points yesterday. He did pick up points in the Monday night event. He's going from strength to strength in this league, so we're going to look out for him. And VRM has, again, this guy can get podiums, he can get points. Again, it's just the reliability, basically, of his own driving style that he needs to improve on. Onto the Renault team, Flaming Nugget. This guy's made me laugh in the last few races. He really has with his performances. He likes to put on an act, and he's doing very well for himself out there. GFO Seb in Tuesday night racing, of course, got third in the Constructor Drivers' Championship. That's confirmed, obviously, but no title for him this year, but a gallant performance all the way through. We go on to the Alfa Romeos, pairing of GFO Leclerc and Ian MC. Ian MC, unfortunately, put in the news that he won't be taking much more time in this league. Big shame, because a big name who's doing very well for himself as well. GFO Leclerc did lose it last week. It cost him his championship. He lost it over in Hungary, and it really hasn't been the track for him. I'm sure he's very happy to stay away from Hungary. Moving on. Gone to the Red Bull Racing duo. the final team to talk you through of Jonathan Cox and Stringy. So Stringy, penultimate driver we'll talk about tonight on this list. Again, post the league, so very, very capable of scoring points. Does very well with the car, just the consistency for him. And obviously T-Bone, let's not talk about him too much. We all saw him clinch the Tuesday night's race and the Tuesday night championship, I should say, not the race in Hungary. He did win actually last night as well, so he's going to be looking to bring that success on to this. So let's go through the actual racing list of who we have got. Going back to the Mercedes team, so just the one driver tonight in GFM Ferg. The Scuderias, we're looking at the Extremist and Bagos. The Red Bull Racing Cars, we're looking at Jonathan Cox and Stringy. The Racing Points, we've got TFC Old Boy and TX91. A vacant seat at Renault, so the only competitor is GFO Seb. The McLaren duo, look at Matty Smith and VRM Haas on 2 Haas. The lineup is looking like Puppy Jr. and Jared with the Alpha Tauri's, if I go the right way, might help, of Lewis Williams 98 and VSO Optics have confirmed with the Alphas. GFO Leclerc, again, unfortunate for him missing out on the championship in the last event. And Tumar 999, now he was doing very well actually for himself yesterday, so keeping a very close eye on him and the final team of Toon Fan and the Mavericks. So really the Williams team, both of the drivers really haven't performed as well as what they should have done this year. So if you didn't see it from Tuesday night's race, and on Monday night's race, we had an absolute belter. So it had pretty much everything in it, as did Tuesday night's event in Hungary, both in the Hungarian races. From last week, if you did miss it, it was a crucial one. It was very, very good for T-Bone, of course. He had to finish 4th in the championship. The race had everything. It had a wet qualifying session. We went into the race, the drivers on the unknown. We had to restart the lobby because of technical issues. Then we saw basically a race. We had an issue at the first lap. We had the safety cars. We had multiple passes for the lead. We had cars drafting around each other. It was fantastic. And that was last week. So you know China's going to be an absolute belter. If you obviously haven't seen the highlights of that, have a quick look of the race completely live on YouTube, or on YouTube, I should say. And Monday night's race, just as good. No championship out for grabs in last night's event. There are some highlights to watch on there, but absolute gripping. If you do get a chance, please do watch that. We'll go live to the session as the time is approaching 8 o'clock, just to make sure we're in there and ready before the race to start. So talking through China, relatively new circuit to the F1 calendar. What's that? The early 2010s when this race was introduced by F1 standards. A formidable turn 1, of course, the circuit looking like, I think it's the Chinese symbol of hope or luck or something. 2 major DRS zones. Turn 1 really is going to be a fright for all drivers. Reminds me very much of certain sections of Malaysia, this circuit coming through. We've got that kilometre long backstretch, a mile long backstretch actually, from the longest in Formula 1 as an actual complete straight. Don't be surprised to see these drivers starting from their medium tyre straight into the race to try and see how long they can keep the tyres going before making a one and only pit stop onto the soft tyres. That theoretically is going to be the best way of going, to start from the mediums and then go on to the softs later on in the race. But again, don't be surprised to see some of the other drivers starting from softs, trying to make up as many positions as possible. I'm just hoping they've got ahead enough of the medium runners before they have to come in to make their tyre stops. So looking through the maths quickly, the championship, of course, in TNR has been settled as Jonathan Cox as champion. So again, very well done to him. I'm sure he's watching for the second time. So anyone wants to make any bets on the third championship, but hopefully there's going to be some drivers around next year to knock him off his crown and make it even more competitive as possible. But towards the end of the season, we did, of course, see GFO Leclerc and GFO Seb really push him down to the wire. So hopefully more of the same to come tonight. I will be having a look at the channel just to see if there's any questions or any comments you guys are wanting to make out there. So anyone that is racing, has got 2 free hands, or is just basically watching, feel free to send me a note, and by all means I'll respond to that or have a look on circuits if I possibly can. So just to go over, of course, this race, it's going to be a 50% race on the Chinese Grand Prix. No qualifying, to be a custom grid, so that dictates from the championship position. So realistically, the 2 Williamses would start from the front of the grid. So I'm sure Toon Fan and Maverick will be very happy to be starting from right at the front. And of course, it does make it more competitive because you've got the guys at the top of the championship standings. They're going to have to fight their way through the field. And of course, you're not discounting the threat of rain in this. Now, of course, just the one session for the guys to worry about out there. It does make it more competitive, and it makes it so unique about the Tuesday nights racing setup format that we have got tonight. The time just approaching 8 o'clock, and I will take Mono's advice to try and have a track map on there just to give you more of a detailed impact of exactly what's going on the racetrack. And of course there will be a glitch, I'm pretty sure, on lap 1 or 2. That's really caught me out a few times in the past, unfortunately, I must add. With the standings, it will basically show drivers moving around the field. It's a glitch in the game and not anything that basically is happening out on track. So we'll try and take that into account and trying to keep you up to date with the goings on the race as it unfolds. Now, let's have a quick look through how many drivers we got in session. So we have, 19? So we're pretty much nearly good to go, it looks like. And some of the drivers readying up already. We're still waiting for the ready up signal to come as the time does now approach 8 o'clock London time. For me, the battle today, so it's all going to be about how long can you make those medium tyres last, or your first set of tyres, how long can you make it last? Because of course a DRS stretch on that DRS zone on the back stretch is so crucial because of how long the track is. You're not going to lose as much time, so that's the reason why the drivers might be tempted to be going for the medium tyre to start. Of course DRS opening up on lap 3. As long as you keep within that second of the driver ahead, it will be a crucial part of the Chinese Grand Prix. So as you can see, we have launched into session. So there will be a formation lap coming up soon. We're going through the grid order, and I'll be telling you exactly what tyres the drivers have confirmed on. At the moment, they're just going through and just making sure they're going to be happy with their strategy for the race, making sure their setup is in, which has caught out many drivers in the past. You spend a week getting ready for the race, and then you put the wrong setup in, and your race is completely gone, or the wrong tyres, which is probably the most frustrating thing known to man. I'm sure a few PlayStation controllers have been broken over that in the last couple of years with this. And we've got a wet session. We have got rain in China. Now, this is going to completely throw the cork out of the bottle, so to say. As you can see, the fans having look happy by that on the outside. Now, this is exactly when. So it's what tyres you start on. For me, it's going to be medium. Pardon me, you're looking at inters for the looks of things. Of course, the drivers are going to have a more detailed with the forecasting we've got. And maybe it might even stop raining in the middle of the race with the guys having to go back to the soft compound tyre. So now we're going to see the men from the boys, and we're going to find out exactly who has been trialling with wet setups. It's something that you don't ordinarily do as we are on the grid. So the tyres have gone for the intermediate tyre. As I was explaining, let's just make sure everything is on, just to be able to talk you through. So we don't need for this session we don't actually need for this session, of course, to show what tyres they're on. So let's go through the grid. So we've got the Mercedes pairing there of Jasper and CGM Ferg on first and second. So Jasper is pole position here, holder. We've got third, of course, all starting from the intermediate tyres here. We've got Toon and Maverick starting from third and fourth. Good up to them two tonight. We've got Bagos starting from fifth. Mr. Elite starting from sixth. VSL Optics, he will start seventh. Matty Smith eighth. He's got himself disqualified from the formation lap, as we just talk about him. Hopefully that luck hasn't rubbed off on him for the race. The TFC Old Boy starts from P9 for the Ferrari in the Haas. Just to put me off this week, it's not in a Ferrari, he's in a Ferrari engine car at least. He's in the Haas, he starts from 10th. Dragon on Speed, he will start from 11th. The Extremist, he will start from P12 in the other Scuderia. We've got Tumbar 99, he will start from 13th. Tiach 91, he starts 14th. iStreams, he will start from 15th. DFIL Hazard, he starts from 16th. Then we've got GFO Seb starting from 17th. Leclerc starting from 18th. Jonathan Cox in 19th position. As they are going down now the long back stretch. This is where the fun's going to happen, guys. It's going to be into turn one. And it's going to be down in this corner as we watch the Mercedes of Jasperettes coming through into sector 3. Of course, DRS will be completely closed while the rain is going. You can see a car already on track, the disqualified car. Matty Smith, he will be able to start the race, but unfortunately will be cut from cold intermediate tyres. Now, the driver's not going to want to be on the grid for too long. You can see the puddles appearing as well. So surely Jasper will be thinking about where the puddles are on lap 1 when he comes round and wants to keep as well away from that as possible. So half the field is coming into the fray. I'm just riding there with the Red Bull racing car of Jonathan Cox getting into his grid slots. So the 19 drivers are ready, but Marlon Landa is ready in the safety car if he was to need him. The Chinese Grand Prix is about to begin. Waiting for the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pause. It's go! Long start, and we have got the Mercedes. They're stalled on the grid. Big shame for him. We got third potential. That's going to be out. There's a smash as well. One of the racing points out. Oh no. It's iStreams as well. Absolute carnage because of the Mercedes stuck in neutral, unfortunately, on the first lap. So that's the reason why. And there's more carnage as they come down into the turns 2 and 3. You can just see how slow they're having to go. This is not a racing speed at all. Surely we're going to have to see a safety car. Multiple guys getting penalties there, as you can just see. As Jasper there, he's all the way down. So he's managed to, from his pole position start, he's down to what, P6 now. Unfortunately, stalling there on the grid. He's the big loser out of the first start. With the cars piling into him, it looks like Fergus managed to get away cleanly. He now takes the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. We've got Maverick in second in the Williams, really trying to be careful. We've got the train behind him of Mr. Elite in third position. Then we've got Optics having to be so careful here and tread so carefully, as you can see there. The sister AlphaTauri really just trying to keep it away from, trying to keep it on the black stuff and away from the green stuff, I really should say. They're really having to watch the wheel spin there, because you can see the McLarens coming into frame of Matty Smith. He's up to P7 now, up position for his grid start, but he's looking pretty racy this evening. Jonathan Cox gets himself a 5-second stop and go penalty for causing a severe incident. So he's up 4 positions from his race start. Does he have damage? We're going to have a quick look and see if we can find out. A safety car has been deployed. That's the reason why. So we've got iStreams out of this race. He's the and well, Jonathan Cox will be very careful there. It looks like he has got front wing damage. Looking at his Red Bull, which is really not going to be what he wanted. And obviously he's going to be happy that championship is over as far as he's concerned. GFO Leclerc simply has not made a good start at all, up 1 position, but normally we see a lot more from him in the opening stages. Now, is anyone starting to pit? They are. We've got Toon Fan already in. I didn't see, he must have got damage from that turn 1 incident. It really wouldn't have surprised me at all. As we can see now, the driver's making up a position because of that happening. And they're about to meet the safety car. GFO Leclerc has massively jumped. It's showing there, up to P5. So that was the glitch I was warning you about, guys. It was showing GFO Leclerc right down in 17th. He's up now to 5th. So that makes... Not going to say anything for the time being, just until the glitch sorts itself out. It was showing GFO Leclerc right at the back of the field. So we're not going to discuss that one too soon and not count any chickens before they've been hatched. So the guys under the safety car conditions, which means of course they can't pass, and realistically, unless you have got major damage, there's no point in coming in to change the tyres and wheels. It's going to be a case of staying out there in the conditions for as long as possible. We'll race back with the Mercedes. Obviously was leading the race and still is leading the race of CGM Ferg. Made a good start from his grid position. He was on the dirty side of the track, it would have been, but of course he didn't expect his teammate to not be able to bog down and start. So got away cleanly and leading the race of the Chinese Grand Prix is his reward. So the Maverick is currently in P2. Mr. Elite is in 3rd position. Optics 4th. Forza Ferrari 5th. Matthew Smith in 6th. Extremist is in 7th place, but with penalties, as is Matt Smith. TH91, he's looking at 8th place right now. Daryl Hazard, he's 9th. And GFO Seb is 10th. We've got cars moving position there on the safety car. It looks like GFO Seb having to give a position back to Toonbar 99. Safety car will stay up for another lap. So I told you this race would sort out the men from the boys. We've only had, 3 laps of it, and it really has already. So they're saying on the screen that they're saying we would have come in potentially on lap 14 with just making the one stop. It doesn't look like rain is going to be ceasing off anytime soon in China. As we're looking down there, Toon Fan, unfortunately one of the big losers of the start of the race. He's down he's down 11 places. So starting relatively near the front of the grid, second row. The Williams, unfortunately his bad luck continues for another week on to China. Now the biggest unfortunate loser on lap 1 was Jasper X. Started from pole position, put his car into neutral. He was showing as 5th at one point. He's down to 15th now. So a big shame for him. It just goes to show that you can prep as much as you possibly want to, but unfortunately, if something isn't right with the car, so having it into first gear, unfortunately, it will just throw your race completely into jeopardy, and it shows you how quickly a race can change. As we can see, the safety car being driven by Bert Mylander, and unfortunately, he was used sooner than we have wanted the safety car in this Chinese Grand Prix. As we look back at the chasing pack there, as we've got Maverick right behind. Oh, very nearly there, losing it. You want to keep your tyres fairly warm with this. But it's going to be at least, just over a mile until at least a safety car will come in. So I understand what Maverick's Tommy Ferg is trying to keep his tyres warm as possible. Maybe a bit too prematurely. As Casper X, his day gets from bad to worse. He's had a collision there with Toon Fan and gets himself a 5-second penalty. So his day is about as bad as Toon's. It goes from bad to worse from him. Big shame. Safety car is going to be in this lap. So Ferg will have the opportunity now to bunch the field up. He becomes a safety car. He'll let the Mercedes of Bert Mylander get away from him, while trying to conduct the field and go at a pace that he wants to. But when is he going to drop the throttle on? When is he going to get back on with the Chinese Grand Prix at the end of lap 3? Does he? 100 metre board, 50 metre board. He seems to boot it into the last corner. That's a good restart from him as well. So he's got away well. as has Maverick, as does Elite. We can see drivers falling behind. A little bit further down the field, we've got a Ferrari there on the outside, making a place up at the extremist. Round the outside into turn one, is he going to make it? Now that's having some balls on what is pretty much lap one of this restarted race. And Dio Hazard, he's trying to go up the inside. They want to stay away from the curves and the conditions. So far so good for his battle with GFO Seb. Having a nice ding-dong battle there between the two of them. So good racing from the two of them. And it's GFO Leclerc is also released, is going to be released as well. His next prey is going to be GFO Hazard. As Toonbar has lost a position there to Toonfan. So Toonfan now has got back on it. He's up to P12 in this race. He does like these conditions. It's a shame that his first lap wasn't as well as he wanted. Jonathan Cox makes a pass. He has up to 13th. He's still got a long way to go in this race. He's started from towards the back of the field, but unfortunately issues there. Looking at Dragon on speed, so we're trying to look at the closest battle on this race. We'll go back to is currently 4P3 and P4. Mr. Elite is in third position in this race. Currently we've got movement again, as we can see T-Ax falling down a position. There's an incident there, and that's the reason why it looks like the Racing Point and the Alpha were completely stuck together coming into what is a fast section of the race. That is the reason why T-Ax is losing positions left, right and centre. GFO Seb has lost a position there to Matty Smith, who is on is maximum defending as he goes into the right hand. Look, he wants to get it back on. That's a shame he couldn't get the throttle down. He does lose the position, an easy pass there for GFO Seb. He takes back up to 7th place in this race. The lap gap for the lead as Ferg still leads it is 2.9 seconds from Maverick and Mr. Elite. We're continuing with this battle. We can see the cars behind really grouping up and really fighting for that. For what is 10th place overall. That's a nice move there. You can see from Leclerc making around the outside there of Dragon on speed and have an inside into the next corner. And he should make it. He does easily make it, as does TH91. Was that the old boy? It is TH. He couldn't make it out to Dragon on speed, so he stays where he is for the time being. Fantastic camera view that really is. So I do like to use it, as you can just see who was at the race ahead of us between GFO 7, the extremist there, for 6th and 7th place. So to keep up at the moment, the drivers moving around all over the place. GFO Seb losing a position there to TH91. Haven't seen how good he is in these conditions, so I'm going to keep this glued to my screen for as long as possible. Well, I don't think Jonathan Cox is liking these conditions as well. He's really struggling in the current format at the moment. As GFO Seb decides to come back through the field, he's managed to get a pass on the extremist. Extremist though will have the shot, a free shot at him coming down the main straight. So we'll have another look at that. If my system decides that it wants to stay with us, the GFO Seb has managed to keep the place there from the extremist, even though he did have a free shot at him going down the hill with DRS open short on a dry track. Surely it would have been an easy pass for him from there. TFC old boy still battling there for what is 12th place at the moment. We have got two drivers out of the race in Bagos and iStreams. iStreams out on the first lap, of course, from the start. Didn't complete a single lap, which is a big shame for him. So no points for Bagos or for iStreams tonight. As you can see, Ferg is still getting the Chinese Grand Prix under control. He's making a lot of late shifts as well, so it does show he is making manual gearing, which is only going to help in these wet conditions. As you can see, the extremist now still doing battle with Hazard, and it looks like does look like Hazard's beating him there. Those longer shifts, he did miss the move coming into the middle there, or the end of sector 1 into sector 2. Between the two cars, and again we'll try and keep as close eyes as possible. As you can just see the extremist really battling with that Scuderia Ferrari, and Hazard there is managing to keep away as GFO Seb is making a pass for what is 4th position. We've got a movement up front as well between Maverick and Mr. Elite. So we're going to see, we're riding with Maverick, we can see Mr. Elite making a move on the outside. He does make it stick for the time being. We'll go to the outside camera. Looks like VSO Optics is going to get a slipstream as well. Mr. Elite, oh, it's going to be a three-way sandwich if they're not careful. The two Alpha Tories make contact, it's wheel to wheel, it's okay. So Maverick down to 5th. GFO Seb is trying to get involved as well on the outside of the last corner. I think he's going for the parking lot by the looks of things of how close he was. Big shame there for GFO. Seb, he's still there. I thought he wasn't going to make it into turn 1. We're definitely seeing some wheel-to-wheel racing here in the rain in China. There's a 4-car battle now, 5-car battle for second place. This is, of course, meaning that that Ferg is managing to get away, and we've got a 6th driver involved in the battle for second place, as Hazard manages to catch up, and he's got another 2 drivers behind him. So in fact, we could be seeing an 8-way battle for second place. As you can see now, Forza Ferrari getting involved for overall second place. He's currently 5th right now. He's got Optics right in front of him, who's battling, and these guys are right on the cusp of second place in this Grand Prix. So hard to keep up with, my voice is absolutely killing me. We're only on lap 7. And that is not where Forza Ferrari wants to be, on the outside curbs. In this weather, it's going to be short shifting again. So difficult to keep it on the island in these wet conditions. As we saw on lap 1, the tyres just weren't getting up to temperature, and that's the reason why I saw so many drivers really getting it wrong. We'll go back to the gap 4. Second position, we've got Mr. Elite on the left, we've got Seb in the middle here, we're riding with. If he can be able to use his ERS to overtake, he hasn't got it open. Oh, he must have, because it was green. Going for the inside there on Mr. Elite. Contact between the 2 of them. It did look okay though, no major damage to either car. GFO Seb is the victor in that battle. As you can see, Matty Smith does fall down in position to GFO Leclerc, who seems to have sorted out his race. He's coming back up through the field. He is currently in P10. Moving on to the closest battles we can possibly give you on the track is the battle overall concerning what 5 drivers for the middle of the pack, so what 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th position. We're currently watching the extremists. They've got another 2 cars behind them. You can see how close the battle is overall for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. Is the Scuderia really struggling to keep it on track, and that's going to mean that Toon Fan is going to get that much closer. And in these conditions, as Toon Fan does make contact, hopefully his car's going to be okay in that one. Toon Fan is still staying with us. On the outside there. This is the place where you want to be getting ready for that. To save all your energy for that back stretch. All your ERS, and deploy it all in one place. Just having a look at the front wing of that Williams, which doesn't look too good, you have to say. Hopefully it's all completely intact so we can see some decent motor racing commencing. It's all going because GFO Leclerc is right behind Toon Fan as well, who's got the extremist directly in front of him. Now we can see yellow flags out there in sector 3. No DNFs currently. We're going to try and stay with this move from GFO Leclerc, who does make up a position. He is up there to P9. If he can stay ahead of Toon Fan, he does. It's Optics in the battles he's in. It's a big shame for him. He was the guy. It looks like the guy who was having issues, and that's the reason why there were yellow flags deployed. Going to be damage for him. That's the reason why he's in. The drivers who were behind him are just gathering up a place. He's now fallen down to 14th, being very high in the top 10. As you can see now, GFO Leclerc continuing to come through the field. He has got past the extremist as well, since we were away looking at that at VSO Optics. The next prey for himself is going to be Hazard. Sector 1 incident. Let's have a quick look through him so we can see that. Nothing visible on the screen. As we've now, Ferg we ride with has got a 12-second lead on lap 9. kept it Mr. Cool, Calm and Collective on lap 1 in what is difficult conditions for anyone. 12 seconds to back the gap to GFO Seb in this race. I told you it's good in the wet. Mr. Elite doing very well, hanging on to P3 despite having a penalty. Forza Ferrari is currently in 4th. The Maverick is sitting in 5th. And GFO Leclerc is up to 6th place. He's got the McLaren, all kinds of rich rays around him to attack of DFL Hazard. Hazard holds a position into one corner, but that is not where you want to be on the outside going down the main stretch. A shame for Hazard there. He's not going to be able to attack by the looks of things. There's a battle behind there with the Extremist and Toon Fan doing battle. It looks like Toon Fan is going to be able to late break here into the right-hander. He does. Just don't overshoot it there, Toon. And you can just see how hard it is as the Extremist is struggling to put down traction on the car. Toon will cut the corner, but he has got the momentum down turn 1. These two have been flat out for the last couple of corners, side by side racing from the two of them. Absolutely fantastic to see. It looks like Toon Fan now will get the occurrence of the high ground as they drop down into the turns 1 and 2. Contact again, it's wheel to wheel, it's okay. It was so slow there and it was wheel to wheel, it's not too much worry. And it looks like fantastic move there from the Extremist there, trying to keep ahead of Toon Fan. Extremist will have the inside line as they go down to complete sector 1. Contact again with these two, no damage again, but it does mean that Toon Bar is going to get himself involved in what is a 3-way scrap for 8th place. And wow, we're going to go back to that very, very shortly. A little bit further up the field, GFO Leclerc has managed to pass the Maverick. He's back up to, well, what is P5. We're going to go back to that battle. I was enjoying that one for what is P9. The Extremists seem to have got a little bit further ahead than what Toon Fan would have liked on this occasion. So we've seen GFO Leclerc at the moment got 13 places from his grid start. He has been absolutely fantastic in these conditions so far, picking everyone off. He's up to P6. We had 11 laps in this Chinese Grand Prix. I'm going to go back and have a look at that Williams that was... It's a battle again as the Extremist and Toon Fan are still battling out. How many corners has this been going on for of side-by-side action? As they come in again to the last corner, you don't want this battle to stop. As it looks like Dior Hazard, or Matty Smith, pardon me, has pitted. That is the reason why these guys are moving up positions. Toon Fan. So he's managed to get past there, the Extremists, as they battled into turn 1. Matty Smith has got himself a 3-second time penalty. Correction, it looks like it's Hazard who's pitted. That's the reason why he's fallen down the order, and that's the reason why people have gained positions ahead of him. So the lead now, still currently looking at around about 12 seconds for Ferg in the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. We'll go back to him really quickly. So again, if you missed the start of the Chinese Grand Prix, it was Jasper on the pole, it was Ferg on P2 on the front row. It was Jasper who made, unfortunately, a mistake in the wrong gear at the wrong time. His car was going nowhere. Ferg took advantage. We saw Jasper go all the way down the field. He's currently P17, the last runner, and that is the reason why we've seen the guys around him really take advantage. You can see GFO Seb, one of the big winners in this race, up 15 positions. So really fantastic start from him. Very impressive. Mr. Elite currently sitting in 3rd place. He's got Forza Ferrari homing in on him. Just a 6/10 between those two drivers. Currently another yellow flag in sector 2. Has anyone lost it? Is that the Extremist? He has lost, what's that, 2 positions. He's down to P10. Big shame for him. He's managing to fight off Tiach for the moment. He does, and we can see that McLaren and Matty Smith finally make his pit stop. I thought he'd pitted a little bit earlier. Now, in these conditions, it's not going to surprise you. It is going to be inters again. So, realistically, there's a couple of them coming in. The Maverick is out of the race. big disappointment. We didn't see what the issue was. He is currently out. Now, if this causes a safety car, this will go into all the drivers who have basically just pitted, because it will mean that under safety car conditions, their pit stop will be a lot quicker. So Maverick is out, involved in some incidents. Big shame for him, as is Jasper as well. We didn't see that. So now we've got 4 drivers out of the race from the 19 who started, in the way of the Maverick, who's literally just retired. Jasper, the pole man, shame for him. Bagos and I stream. So no points, nil point for those 4 drivers today, as we are back under green flag conditions. So no safety car, as it does look like the gap has stabilised around 12 seconds. It's down by a couple of tenths now. And we can see this huge battle, as the extremist really struggling there for grip. That's not the extremist. Good old bugs with the system, you ought to love it. Trying it around the outside of TFC Old Boy. I think the Old Boy knows those tricks. And unfortunately, extremist not close enough on lap 13 to be able to make a move, a dive-bomb move into the final hairpin. As we can see, Mr. Elite diving in for the pits in his AlphaTauri from 5th in this race, as has a couple of them. GFO Seb as well coming in. So that promotes Leclerc up to 3rd place, and GFO Seb from 2nd position. He does make it back into 4th place, right ahead of Toon Fan. So well done to the Renault team for such a quick pit stop, right ahead of Toon Fan. Toon's not going to be happy with that, but of course he's on old tyres. They've done 13 laps, these intermediates. But of course now this will mean that Seb is the first runner to have pitted for tyres, and looks to be making it through until the end of this race. But of course you can just see now, let's keep an eye on GFO Seb just to see if he runs away from the race and his position. So if he runs away from Toon Fan, then maybe the other drivers might be thinking actually it's time to come in, because you're getting more grip off the new softs. Oh, it's showing Toon's actually pitted as well. Let's have a quick look and just see when Toon pitted on his tyres, just to see how long they've done. So, oh, okay, so he has pitted, but it's right at the end of the race, right at the start of the race. So let's keep an eye on the progress of him. The first driver who's managed to stop and come out, or second driver I should say, who's managed to stop and come out, is the TFC Old Boy. So he stopped. See how long his intermediate tyres can last. Good little T-Bones, there he goes. It's been interesting, definitely I have to say. He's currently P10, he's made 3 fuel tyre stops. Now he sat down for a steak as well while we're at it, as we can see TFC Old Boy and TH91 switching positions there. TH deciding to come into the pit lane, as far as a Ferrari and GFO Leclerc. So more of the top guys are stopping on lap 14, deciding that a 50% distance is what they want to be doing on the intermediate tyre. Now, of course, the guy to watch out for is GFO Seb, who is way out in 2nd place ahead of these guys. So Ferg still leads the race. He has not stopped. Let's have a look through this yellow flag. It's forward set to 1 really quickly. Couldn't see what it was for momentarily, so let's go back to what we were talking about. So Ferg still leads the Chinese Grand Prix. Toon Fan gets himself a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help his day at all. He's by 31.9 seconds, 32 seconds now. Of course, he has not stopped. It's GFO Seb that basically has stopped and is chasing him down. And keep an eye on the gap. It's stabilising around about 32 seconds. But we're expecting to see Ferg come in shortly. It's Toon Fan in 3rd. He has stopped, but I don't think the intermediates are going to be making it through to the end. So expect to see Toon potentially come in for one more stop. You've got Toomba 999. He hasn't stopped. Currently riding in 4th. He's got some pressure from the Old Boy behind him in 5th. Jonathan Cox decides now is the time to make a move for 6th position and pushes Dragon on speed down to 7th. 3 stopping T-Bone has decided now is the lap on lap 15 to come out of his shell and really start pushing in the Chinese Grand Prix. As you can see, TFC Old Boy, Toonbar and Toon Fan battling, as you can see now, into the pit lane. So now the Old Boy moves up to P3, Coxie up to P4, Dragon on Speed to P5 as Toon Fan and Toonbar decide to come in. So these guys had stopped previously, but early in the race, so the tyres weren't going to last till the end. So now they're back on the same frequency as everyone else. So that Toonbar will be the last person to stop. So it is pretty much as back as they were now, as Ferg leading the race still. His gap has been massively cut down to 8.4 seconds. It was 12 seconds earlier in this race, so he has stopped. Gap now is down to 8.5 seconds. To GFO Seb is currently sitting in P2. You've got TFC Old Boy, he's in third, he's 10 seconds behind this battle. As T-Bone in fourth. It's going to be eyes on the prize, eyes on the podium, and he does like to sneak up on you, this guy. It's showing Dragon on Speed has actually not pitted. So correction, is holding on to a very stable P5, but of course he would have to stop, so looking at 20 seconds plus, unfortunately, if he can't make it to the end of the race. They have to come in for intermediate tyres, and surely his tyres must be absolutely shot at this stage of the Chinese Grand Prix. VSO Optics holding a very stable 6th position in his AlphaTauri, as Forza Ferrari in P7 for the Haas team. Mr. Elite is sitting in 8th place. Was that the other around him? It wasn't. I was incorrect there. He is going to be receiving pressure from GFO Leclerc. Managed to go up to as high as 3rd positions at the round of pit stops, but he is now focusing in on Mr. Elite. He wants as many points as possible. We've got movement again as the Old Boy now comes in. His tyres weren't going to make it till the end of the race. He has still gone for intermediates, as has Dragon on Speed. Dragon on Speed now making his pit stop. How far does he fall down? He was, 5th in this race? He was the only man not to stop. So the graphic was correct. He goes down to 12th. So he's still got opportunity for some points today. It's Toonbar, currently the last guy, currently sitting in the 10th position. Let's have a quick look through as GFO Seb gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Let's have a quick look just to see who has set the fastest lap of the race. Just to see who the extra point will be going to momentarily. So the fastest lap currently held by GFO Leclerc. Onto the penalties held. So currently at the moment, our leader Ferg, the gap 9 seconds, he leads, no penalties. GFO said he is currently in P2. He has 3 seconds of penalties. No penalties for T-Bone, Optics, Forza Ferrari, Leclerc, Mr. Elite, GFO Hazard. Mr. Elite has a 3-second time penalty be added to his race time. GFO Leclerc is battling with Forza Ferrari for what's his 5th position. And you can see a 3-car battle there in the middle of Sector 3. As they come into the last corner, there's still VSO Optics, Leclerc and Forza Ferrari. But this is about to change shortly, because you're about to see the position move around again. Good attack in there from Leclerc. Can he hang it around the outside? There was contact and the Alpha's gone round. Big shame for him. That didn't look intentional whatsoever. It looked like he had left Optics some room. So a big shame to see Optics lose a position. It does promote GFO Leclerc up to P4 in this race. Optics is going to be fuming. I'd like to have seen an on board of that just to confirm. So going on to the penalties, all clear pretty much from a 7th down to 12th place. The other drivers that have got penalties is Matty Smith, who's currently in 13th, Toon Fan 14th, and Extremist all having 3-second penalties together there in 13th, 14th and 15th place. get for the lead is just under 9 seconds. It's been sitting around there 8-9 seconds for the last few laps. It was as high as 12 seconds in this race. GFO Seb doing very well, it has to be said. Make up a lot of places at the start. You've got Jonathan Cox sitting there in third position. GFO Leclerc is directly behind him. He's now added a 3-second time penalty to his time. So how far are they on the road? So that's what, roughly 10 seconds between Jonathan Cox and GFO Leclerc. But of course, there's a 3-second time penalty for GFO Leclerc. So the following drivers do have time penalties, so to confirm, GFO Seb, GFO Leclerc, Mr. Elite, Matthew Smith, Toon Fan and the Extremist all have 3-second time penalties, which will not be helping their cause today. We've still got 15 runners. Lap 18 of the Chinese Grand Prix. And in the wet weather, it really is an absolute gamble of when you put your foot on the pedal every single time you go in or out of a corner. If you get on the throttle just too much, too hard, as you can see Ferg really battling with the steering wheel there around a very complex sector. The car will spin round and you'll be potentially out of the Chinese Grand Prix. One thing I have to say that's impressed me today with Ferg is that how resilient he's been. Started from pole position, didn't get involved in any issues, got away cleanly from the start and from the following restart because of the safety car, built up a 12-second lead when we saw what a 4-5 car battle for second position in the middle of the race. And currently at the moment that the gap is down 2, but still stands at 9 seconds, and it just flashed just over 10 seconds. GFO Step does have a 3-second time penalty, so realistically you can call that a 13-second advantage that he does have. Further 13 seconds back to Jonathan Cox in P3, who has got a 9-second deficit, plus 3 seconds to GFO Leclerc in 4th, Forza Ferrari in 5th, and Mr. Elite in 6th place. Let's change the graphic really quickly just to see a much easier gap there and try and keep with the closest gaps on the field, which we are currently looking at in the form of Mr. Elite in P6. He's got Forza Ferrari ahead of him. He's driven incredibly well today. Let's go back to Matty Smith and Toon Fan battling it down there. So Toon, unfortunately, has fallen back to 13th after that pit stop. It really hasn't gone well for him today. Plus the 3 seconds. Him and Matty Smith having a right ding-dong battle there for 13th place between the Williams and the Ferrari, which actually is the closest battle on the track right now. GFO look, and there's slight contact there from Matty Smith on Toon Fan. No damage caused. The only thing is Matty Smith is going to have to watch out for his fuel load by the looks of things if he does want to attack much further. The race seems to have stabilised now, with Ferg still leading just over 10 seconds plus a 3-second time penalty ahead of GFO Seb. Jonathan Cox done very well to bring himself through the field, as did GFO Seb. GFO Seb currently second and Jonathan Cox third. GFO Leclerc adequately, very good race back through the field. He is in 4th position as Optics and oh boy are having their own ding dong battle coming down to the hairpin. Who blinks first? The first blinker is going to be the first blinker, if it's what I was saying, was the old boy. Jonathan Cox comes in for his 4th pit stop of the day, going for the intermediate tyres. We didn't see damage to the car, so a big shock there for Jonathan Cox. He's fallen down to P7, a complete reversal of a couple of weeks ago when we saw Leclerc way up there in the Italian Grand Prix and pitting with a few laps to go to the end. Jonathan Cox managed to capitalise on that day, which surely would have been a win for the Alfa Romeo. On this day, the positions have changed, so GFO Leclerc massively managing to capitalise on a late pit stop call for the Red Bull team. Not 100% why he pitted. I have to ask him after the race, because that absolutely thrown me, unless his tyres were completely shot or he's gone off the field and damaged the car, which we hadn't seen. His sector times were looking pretty competitive though. As you can see, he's making a run back through the field, having the old boy for 6th position. He's called that pretty much a T-bone mugging an old boy. Being 75 and all, the TFC old boy. And already you can see the gap starting to form between the old boy and Jonathan Cox for P6. And maybe it was the right way to go. They've got 8 laps to prove it. So, was Jonathan Cox correct in coming into the pits? At the moment in my head the answer is going to be no. He's fallen down to 7th. He's come back up to 8th place because of the pit stop. 4 times in the pits, you have to say. Surprising today for me. That promotes GFO Leclerc position and Forza Ferrari Mr. Elite. Because of that late decision stop. Let's go back to what will be the closest battle on the track. Actually would be this one for 12th place. If not, we'll go back to the battle for Mr. Elite, who's currently sitting in P5 within 9/10 of a second of the car ahead of him, Forza Ferrari. But unfortunately we've not seen the DRS zone be opened in this race. The Extremist has lost the position. They're battling VSL Optics and the Extremist all the way around the first sector. That's what you want to see. For 14th and 15th place, the Extremist there surely is going to get the better of the AlphaTauri. He does indeed. There's wheel banging all over the place. Good fun, that's what you want to see. You do not see clean racing, but of course it's wheel to wheel. This is, so it wouldn't have caused any issues to either driver. So good fun racing, and this is the 14th and 15th place in the Chinese Grand Prix. It's not even for points currently. Oh, as you can see, the VSL Optics just about keeping it on the track. It's going to leave himself vulnerable there to the Extremist. He's going to need some extreme driving to get past Optics, you have to say. Battling with the Scuderia. More of a rally drive around the Chinese circuit and Formula 1 at the moment. But hey ho, interesting to watch nonetheless. Back to Ferg, who is leading the Chinese Grand Prix. Gap still staying around 8 seconds, as it has been for the last few laps. Lap 22 we're on currently, as we are over halfway through lap 22, approaching lap 23. Drivers now settling into this race for what is the final third of the Chinese race. GFO Seb still stabilising there, run about 8-9 seconds behind him. GFO Leclerc, after his harness and catapult back up to P3 in this race, looks to be settling today for third. A yellow flag in sector 2. It's TH has gone off the road. That's the reason why. TH 91 is caught it back again. Lost the position, looks like, to Dragon on speed, but he has managed to get the racing point back up to racing speed, so to speak. As there is a close battle there between the two McLarens for 12th and 13th place. It's a shame it's not the points between Matty Smith and Duro Hazard. It's for and Toon Fan for 11th, 12th and 13th place. Unfortunately, Toon Fan, who's currently sitting 11th, has got 6 seconds of penalties, which will put him 3 seconds behind this pack, because the 2 drivers behind him have got a 3 second and no penalties. As you can see now, the 2 McLarens about to make a sandwich of the Williams. Matty Smith takes too much of the curb on the outside, and it means that he will lose 2 positions in as many corners. Back down to P13. Worth the try though, this late in the race, you have to say. And now it's time, surely, for Hazard to have a go at Toon Fan. Doesn't have to pass him in this race because he will be ahead on the count back as things stand. Toon Fan leaving the door open. I'll be looking there myself. And he does make contact with the Williams. So, Toon Fan would have felt that. No damage there to either of the cars. So hopefully no issues going forward between those two. The Extremist having his own extreme race of wet conditions there in 15th. Big shame that he's down in 15th place. We see much better from him this race. Toon Fan deciding he's got to defend now for 11th. He's still holding on to it momentarily. Those 2 McLarens are looking pretty racy though for 12th and 13th. It's a big shame that we're seeing these 2 cars so far down the field. A safety car has been called out. Wow, with 5 to go, this is definitely going to spice up the race. 5 to go, the safety car, so Leclerc is starting to come in. He's gambled on the fact that he's hoping that the cars ahead behind him don't manage to beat him and going for a quick stop for intermediate tyres. The luxury did not go to Ferg or Seb because of where they were on the racetrack. And GFO Leclerc has finished, has come out of the pits. He will stay in 3rd by the looks of things. He does manage to get out into 3rd. His teammate goes up to 4th position. Jonathan Cox rolling the dice again for intermediate tyres. They're crazy, these guys coming in. Track position surely it'd be much better to have at the end of this Chinese Grand Prix. A couple of drivers there rolling the dice. As you can see them deciding to come in. Now the final 4 laps, or 3 laps when we get started again in this race. It's going to be all about, can the guys on the fresher tyres make that gamble last? As now Ferg surely will have a free pit stop because of the gap that he has got. So he will have an opportunity to come in and pit for intermediate tyres. He does. So he is going to be in and out, and then he doesn't want to get himself a time penalty, so he wants to make sure it's under 50-mile-an-hour limit. A 5-second penalty for Mr. Elite for having an issue there with Jonathan Cox under safety car. So that is going to be, and the front wing on the Red Bull looks very damaged. So that's the issue behind it. As we can see, GFO Seb still hasn't managed to catch the pit lane. As you can see, as Ferg exits the pit lane, Seb decides not to come in. He would have had enough time to get out in front of GFO Leclerc because of how slow these cars are going under the safety car. He didn't want to throw the dice. So Ferg is currently still leading. He has stopped. He's got the safety car to watch out for though. Which actually since the first few yards of this race, a Mercedes in one way, shape or form is still 1 and 2 in this race. But unfortunately it's a safety car we're looking at in overall command of this race. Ferg still leads it. He's dominated this race. 25 laps in the lead. He has made his second stop. He didn't need to, but he decided the gap was enough. Jonathan Cox comes in. He's running out of intermediate tyres. As things go, surely it's going to have to be a new set of intermediate tyres. He's serving his penalty. He will go outside the points because of this. So no points for it's a front wing change. I was right for him having issues there. They'll take him out of the points. So surely nil point for the champion-elect today. He comes out in 14th, would you believe, Jonathan Cox, with time penalties falling into the hat as well. So 4 to go in China. So going through 10th to 1st really quickly to show you, well, still in the safety car of exactly what is going on. To deal with Hazard is currently in P10. With a mixed bag of race for him. Very well though to keep it on the island for so long. Toon Fan, well, his first part of the race very disappointing. He seems to have picked it up despite penalties. The only thing is he's currently ninth, but he does have 6 seconds of time penalties, which surely is going to sting him massively in this race. TFC Old Boy, he is 8th, having a good race. Very stable there in P8. Forza Ferrari in 7th. Who again has stopped. Mr. Elite is in 6th. Extremist is out of this race. DNF for him. No points today. Big shame for Mr. Elite. So he is currently in 6th. The penalties are not going to help him out. 8 seconds of penalties. Dragon on Speed, he is in 5th. Toonbar is 4th with no penalties. We've got GFO Leclerc in 3rd. And GFO Seb in 2nd, but those two are going to have to make a rocket off the start because they both have 3-second time penalties. And Ferg is the guy that's led every single lap of these 26 lap race, the Chinese Grand Prix. He's my driver of the day currently because of his untouchable performance in China. He's got a second over the opposition with 3 to go. But he also does not have any time penalties. Just to cover time penalties one more time, you've got it's GFO Seb with 3 seconds, GFO Leclerc with 3 seconds, Mr. Elite with 8 seconds, Toon Fan with 6 seconds, Matty Smith with 3 seconds, and Jonathan Cox with 5 seconds to be added to race times. So surely safety cars should be coming in this lap. Second safety car we've seen. Lights are out in the safety car. So expect to see the safety car dart in at the end of Sector 3 as we begin Sector 3. So this is the time now. Well, Ferg did a fantastic job at the second restart and the first safety car restart we see. Now Dragon on Speed gets himself a 5-second penalty for a collision with Toonbar. That has thrown his race as well. So a big shame for him. So that 5 seconds will bring Forza Ferrari currently up into a podium place and potentially the Old Boy. So expect to see this field absolutely desecrate as far as positions are concerned and change in the last couple of laps of this race because of time penalties. And how is Ferg going to do from his 3rd attempt or 3rd start of the day and his 2nd safety car restart? He should be getting pretty used to him right now. It's an earlier one. It's an earlier restart, but a pretty good one nonetheless from Ferg. He still leads the Chinese Grand Prix. Great restart from him. We have got Seb trying to follow him down. Not such good a restart there for GFO Leclerc in 3rd position. Toonbar is currently holding on to full. Dragon on Speed 5th. Mr. Elite in 6th position. Forza Ferrari 7th. Make that 6.5 as he tries to move there on Mr. Elite. It didn't work out this time, but he has got another 2 laps of the Chinese Grand Prix to go to make it stick. Jonathan Cox off position there up into 13, catching up Matty Smith on the restart. As you can see it all going off of Mr. Elite trying it around the outside. And is he going to make it stick? He is going to make it stick on Dragon on Speed. There's yellow flags in Sector 2. We'll have a quick look through. It's TX91, unfortunately, getting himself in a few more battles. As you can see, Ferg has absolutely dominated here in China. The middle pack, so what's that, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th and 9th are all together on the racetrack. At the moment, the beneficiary is going to be Forza Ferrari. Toon Fan is in the wars again. Hazard managed to get past him now. He's finally managed to get past the Williams. The penalties would have done that anyway, but potentially that could bring him into place for a podium. So the top 3 are not getting away as quickly as what they would have expected. Toonbar is going to be all over them as well. So currently GFO Seb with a 3-second time penalty. GFO Leclerc also with a 3-second time penalty in 2nd and 3rd. Forza Ferrari moving down a position from 6th to 7th. He wants to stay in contact because he's massively going to benefit from these time penalties added to the end of the race as we go to the white flag lap for Ferg. He's got Seb behind him. He doesn't have to worry about Seb. He's got a 3-second gap over him on paper. He's got 5/10 on the road. He's got Seb right behind him. He doesn't have to worry about him or Leclerc. They both have 3-second time penalties, of course. In fourth, we've got Toombar. He's got his own battle. He's got a 5-second penalty. Mr. Elite's got 8 seconds. So surely he's not going to finish in 5th position today because the field's so tightly bunched. Dragon on Speed currently in 6th. He has got a 5-second penalty that'll push him down the order. So expect the likes of Forza Ferrari, TFC Old Boy and Hazard to really cut the mustard and pick up those extra points and extra positions after the checkered flag has fallen. We're going to call it as what we can see on the road. We're going to follow this battle for the lead until the checkered flag comes out. You can see it really drying up now. A few more laps in this race and I think we would have seen drier tyres. 28 laps is the limit though, as you can see the top 3 really now pushing the bonus. They've got away 6 seconds from Mr. Elite, so the 3 seconds really are not going to worry the top 3 for the time being. Toombar up to 4. Penalties, of course, will reflect this race. But it is Ferg who has been dominant in this race. He's my driver of the day. It's Ferg who wins the Chinese Grand Prix. It's Sepp who finishes 2nd, Leclerc on 3rd. Now, where do the rest of them come in 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th? Penalties will play a factor. It is Toombar. Forza Ferrari does get 4th. Because of the time penalties, it's Daryl Hazard that finishes 5th after the time penalties, and the TFC Old Boy, he finishes on 6th in 6th place. Well, I told you the last lap was going to be dramatic. Codemasters thinks the GFO Leclerc was driver of the day. I have to disagree. Honestly, there is 2 drivers today that basically have really impressed me. The winner, 100%, he has really pushed the button. You can't deny him of his victory today. He's thoroughly deserved for the Mercedes team. The GFO's battling it out on the last couple of laps for best rights of 2nd and 3rd. Well done to Seb for being up on lap 2, up as high as he possibly was. A fantastic start for him. He deserves a mention. 3rd position, a great race for GFO Leclerc. Again, he deserves a mention today. But, of course, and a big shout out to 4th place, Forza Ferrari. Equal driver of the day, in my opinion. Absolutely full throttle racing. And, of course, holding on to the end. I've seen him finish 4th on the road. It's a shame there wasn't 4 steps on the podium. So, a very well done to the top 3 drivers. Now we can see the championship has finished. So, Ferg, GFO Seb, GFO Leclerc, Forza Ferrari, GFR Hazard, the TFC Old Boy, Toombar in 7th. Is Optics 8th, Dragon Speed 9th, and TX gets his final points for finishing in 10th position. Mr. Elite, Jonathan Cox, Toomfan, Matty Smith are the last classified finishers in 14th place. Well, the Chinese Grand Prix, I told you for TNR, was always going to be full of fun. I've enjoyed it incredibly much. And of course, this week we've got no title, of course, in the Tuesday night racing that really hasn't put down the level of class we've seen out there today in very, very difficult conditions. So, well done to the top 3 drivers, and for my 2 drivers of the day, they've driven absolutely fantastically. Of course, keep tuned for, of course, Wednesday night racing coming up. The thrills of where we're at, Austria, for this week. So do tune in for 8 o'clock for that, for driver streams. If there is going to be commentary, I really don't know. I'll be competing myself. So I hope myself very good luck. And I'm going to see quite a lot of drivers in TNR Battle Meet then. And of course, we take a day off on Thursday, and then we are back for FNR racing for Gold and Bronze. So make sure you're tuning in then. If you can't tune in then, tune back in for next week for the Tuesday night events. It's been an absolute corker. Maybe it's something to do with the standings and no qualifying, whatever it is, it's been fantastic. So again, Scrappy Doo signing out. I want to say a big thank you to RRC Racing Community again for everything they put on for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday, for Friday, for Sunday, for pretty much every other day in the week. We couldn't do it without you. From Scrappy Doo, again, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and we'll see you very soon.